Props have to go out to Shawn Michaels. He did it again last night. Best bet winner, number 10 out of 12 overall. NBA playoffs now 9-2. Another 100 dime max wager winner, which you got for over half price off, as he scored with the Toronto Raptors. Now he's taking a pass today, which tells you how little he likes the Milwaukee-Boston game. And I concur, and it's going to be my free pick today. Yesterday on the video report gave you yet another winner in the Cleveland-Indiana series. As I told you, the Pacers undaunted against the Cavaliers. Now I have won, 16 of my last 24 complimentary plays. And as I said, not only am I going to have a free play on game number 6 of the Bucks Celtics series, but also on the Red Sox Toronto in baseball. That's coming up in just a moment. Listen, that game between the Cavaliers and Pacers, love them or loathe them. LeBron James, what a play to finish that game last night on the defensive end and on the offensive end. And for the Pacers, my goodness, the Cavaliers, an awful defensive team, have just done a magnificent job here in this series after game number 2 of shutting down Victor Oladipo. They have just run nonstop double teams against him and just have shut him down offensively. And the Pacers have done a great job of staying in this series and mounting one comeback after another with their number 1 ace scorer pretty much, shut out of the scoring column. That's the bottom line. Pacers have to do something to free him up in game number 6, or it's game, set, match for the Cavaliers at Bankers Fieldhouse. I'm looking at this offense and they just can't get him open. And I'm thinking, is it because they've got 2 young big men in Miles Turner and Sabonis that aren't quite as efficient and effective at setting screens? Because that's the only thing I can think of. They've got to be more effective setting more screens to let him pop open. When you're throwing double teams at him, I can't think of anything else they've got to be able to do in order to let him pop open. It's bad. Obviously, he's not going to be able to drive the lane because when you got 2 guys collapsing on you constantly, even though the Cavaliers have no interior defense, what are you going to do? How are you going to get to the lane to drive when you've got 2 guys blocking your path? So that's the key for the Pacers in this series. But anyway, in terms of the big play tonight, if you're looking for it, that would be courtesy of Eric Schrader, who last night cashed in with yet another 100 dime max wager release on the Houston Rockets. Short term, he's going for winning day number 10 out of 14. Long term, over the past 3.5 months, in fact, to be exact, over the past 107 days, he's made $10 bettors, $19,720. Tonight, top rated 100 dime winner number 23 out of 33 and number 5 out of 6 in the postseason on the Celtics Bucks side. You get it for over half price off, just like last night's winner on the Rockets, by using coupon code ERIC, his first name. All your other discounts, promos, etc. over on the homepage. Okay, let's get to it now for tonight's game. One thing that I always excelled at as a guy who, as a guest handicapper on radio and TV. Up until a couple years ago, I was doing like 40 radio interviews a week, 3-4 television appearances a week, and I don't do it anymore because I just have no interest. I'm not interested in doing the dog and pony show at this time in my career. There's no upside to it. But as a guy who had his own nationwide radio show and worked in TV for a number of years, I can appreciate the hosts in those positions. You want a guest that you can ask any question because the guest has to be the all-powerful Oz. He has to be able to answer all your questions. You have to be able, when they ask you about an obscure game, to give an answer. You have to have an opinion, and it has to be backed up with substance. Because listen, in this business, as a handicapper, you have to have an opinion about everything. It makes you qualified to be a handicapper. It makes you qualified to be, a host on a show like ESPN's First Take, to be, a guy like Colin Cowherd, to be, working in the White House, dealing with the press, to be working on the Fox News channel, stuff like that. The difference is, as a handicapper, you actually have to have knowledge. That's the difference, as opposed to Stephen A. Smith and Colin Cowherd and anybody working in the White House, and Fox News. Let's just throw that all out there. But here's the problem. as a handicapper, listen, I come here on the video reports, and I hope that you realize that when, I'm breaking down games as a former reporter, look, I study these teams. I know what's going on. You get my plays, and, I break these down, and I really put thought into it. I have fired a hell of a lot of handicappers over the years who, when I look at their analysis, I go, did you even see these teams? Have you ever watched these teams? Do you know anything other than these teams, that they're wearing 2 sneakers and 2 pairs of socks? I mean, do you know anything about them? It pisses me off. But this Bucks Celtics series, I'll be the first to admit, I have a hard time getting a grasp on this. Pacers Cavs, I've been right on the money. Raptors Wizards, right on the money, right? Rockets T-Wolves, couldn't figure that damn one out either. So, with a grain of salt, let me tell you, I think the Bucks are the play tonight. I think. Okay, the home team has won every game in this series. The home team is also 4-1 against the spread in this series. Of course, the Bucks in game number 4 blew that double-digit lead and failed to cover. The other way of saying that is also, depending on your glass half empty or glass half full guy, is that the Celtics have covered all but one game in this series. When I go back and I look at game number 5, everybody's saying, oh man, Marcus Smart came back and he keyed the Boston defense. Okay, Marcus Smart came back, and granted, after being out 6 weeks, he had a nice game. 9 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 blocks in 25 minutes. He wasn't the only reason that Milwaukee lost that game. Milwaukee entered that game through the first 4 games in that series shooting 54%. They were shooting better in the first 4 games of that series, better than any other team in the entire postseason, which tells you 2 things. Boston couldn't stop them. Boston was playing so poorly defensively, or Milwaukee was just sizzling offensively in the first 4 games of the series. It's a blend of both. Game number 5, Boston played a little better defensively, and it wasn't just because Marcus Smart came back. He wasn't like the end-all, the greatest defensive player the NBA ever saw. You would think the Dennis Rodman in his prime came back, and he brought his 4 brothers with him. I don't know. You would think Marcus Smart was like the defensive player of the year 7 years running. I don't know. And it was a combination that the Bucks simply played poorly and couldn't hit the broadside of the barn. They shot like 37%. Giannis, the Greek Freak, took 10 shots in game number 5. 10 shots. He was averaging 17 shots, averaging 27.8 points in the first 4 games in the series. He had a series low 16 points in game number 5. Remember how LeBron was not that aggressive in game number 1 against Indiana? And then he came out with a fury and just unleashed it in game number 2? That's what Giannis is going to do tonight, I think. Back home, do-or-die situation against Milwaukee. He's going to come out more aggressive, and if the Bucks have any sense, they're going to say, hey, let's give our main guy the ball. Because it's nice that Chris Middleton's had a great series and he had 23 points in game number 5. It's great that Milwaukee had a Jabari Parker sighting in game number 5 and he had 17 points and 8 rebounds after, sulking his way through the first 2 games in the series and being mostly the invisible man throughout the first 4 games. It's great that happened, but they don't win tonight's game unless you know who gets his freak on tonight and has 30 points and 15 rebounds and like 8 assists. That's the key for them tonight. It's a 4.5-point number. I say you lay it with Milwaukee, and I think that's the way to go in this game tonight. But if you paid me, I wouldn't bet it. Enough said. Let's talk about another Boston team, the Red Sox tonight. The only way you can play them is minus $1.35 on the run line with Chris Sale. Now, I can tell you all the great numbers with Chris Sale tonight. I can tell you that this is a guy who is 4-1 with a 0.96 earned run average in 7 career games at the Rogers Center in Toronto, 6 of them starts. I can tell you that this guy has a 2.03 earned run average in 12 career appearances against the Blue Jays, 9 of them starts. I can tell you that last year, in his first season for the Red Sox, he faced the Blue Jays 4 times, and he had a 1.63 earned run average with 43 strikeouts in those 4 games started against the Blue Jays. All great numbers. I can also tell you that in 5 starts this season, if you bet Chris Sale on the run line, He's been victimized by a lack of support, and you only won 3 times. That's not great betting percentages. And I can tell you that a Red Sox team that was just an offensive juggernaut at the start of the season, including and since being no-hit by the Oakland A's, after that no-hit game, well, that started a 3-game losing streak, and in the subsequent 2 games, they scored a total of 3 runs. Yes, they won last night against Toronto to snap that 3-game skid. But the Red Sox offense, it's amazing what a no-no will do to you. Everybody goes into a funk suddenly, right? Can they score enough tonight? Well, the good news is they're facing Marco Estrada. And Marco Estrada has never really been a guy that has owned the Boston Red Sox. Boston has won 9 of their last 11 at the Rogers Center. Estrada last year, which was a horrible year for him, a 4.22 earned run average in 4 starts against the Bo Sox. So even though the Red Sox last night, 4-3 win, again, going back to that no-hit game, in the 4 games, including the no-hitter, they have scored a total of 7 runs. This was a team that during that winning streak was averaging over 7 runs a game, 7 runs total in their last 4 games. If you're going to play it, you got to lay the 1.5, and that's how you take the Red Sox tonight and look for a magnificent effort and a low-scoring game, and they win it by at least 2. So I like the Red Sox, and I like the Bucks. I like the Bucks a little more, but again, it's slim pickings on tonight's card. That's the way I'm looking at it. Good luck, everybody. I'll talk to you again tomorrow.